Welcome to I Am Goddess Collective podcast, a sacred space for empowerment through modern magic, spiritual activism, and reclaiming your power. I am your host, Nixie Marie, feng shui practitioner, earth activist, and mystic, here to support and inspire your journey in becoming the change you wish to see in this world. That change starts within. Join myself and fellow thought leaders, metaphysical experts, and luminaries each week as we explore practical and magical ways to living in your highest alignment. Your journey as an empowered goddess begins here. Let's dive in. Hello, beautiful goddesses. Welcome back to the podcast. As always, I'm very honored to be here. I hope you all are having a magical, blissed out day and know that you are a beautiful, beautiful, divine, lovely creature here on this planet. And if you are currently feeling a lot, I know I certainly have been. The veils are getting thinner and thinner, and we are approaching the Witch's New Year, Samhain, where the turn of the wheel is really actually where the wheel of the year starts. So it's really interesting because I was thinking about this, how Samhain actually is the beginning of the cycles, and it really invites us to go deeper into an inward and do some shadow work and look at ourselves. And I really think that that is very symbolic, because when we take that time to look within and look at ourselves first, then we can slowly go out and expand. And if we look at all these seasons, with Samhain being the inward journey, really the like deep dark root of the soul, dark night of the soul, or shadow season, it invites us to go inward. And then as we slowly progress into, winter, and we're going even deeper, and it's like time for hibernation. And then we step into the season of spring, and it's like, wow, okay, things are starting to, blossom, and things are starting to feel good. And things are starting to feel like everything is expanding, and we are expanding. And then we go into the summer, and, it's like, okay, it's time to freaking shine and really be blissed out by all those beautiful expansiveness. So, it's really very fascinating how we go through all these seasons, and they allow for us to go through these cycles. So if you're feeling that, it's okay. What I'm here to say is it's okay. It's okay that you're feeling a lot. It's okay that you're maybe wanting to recluse and go inward. We've got a lot of things happening right now. And when that happens, it's really important to just pay attention to the cycles. So I'm excited for Samhain. It's really that's why they say it's the Witch's New Year, because it's when the cycles begin. And so we're just being invited to take a deeper internal view of what's going on in our world. And so this is a time too where people, you might be feeling a little under the weather, colds come on. If you have kids, those types of things happen. So it's important to update your witch or her herbalist kit. And I want to shout out to our resident herbalist who contributed a lot to the Witchy Times newsletter that we don't have currently going, but hopefully we'll be bringing that back soon. But Antoinette Yarrow, she was also on the podcast, and she has some really great tinctures and stuff for you, or even just some advice. So definitely reach out to her. And it's a good time to just update your essential oils, your medicine cabinet, your witch cabinet. And this is actually giving me an idea to potentially create a little blog or something to provide that for you. So if you're listening to this podcast and you would like a little, maybe a blog post, or even a separate podcast maybe next month on some things to invite into your home to prep for this winter season, shoot me a DM at I Am Goddess Collective Podcast. Let me know if you're totally feeling that and you would like some guidance there, because I definitely have quite a few tricks up my sleeve in my kitchen witchery to figure out how to navigate some of those, like last minute sore throats or colds or just not feeling good, especially for the kiddos. So I think that would be really fun. And also, I just wanted to, before we get into this amazing podcast today we've got Christine Olivia on the show today. She is a author of the book, A Child of Magic, and she is also a cacao ceremonialist. So we're going to get into the medicine of cacao today, which I thought is so fitting because of the season change and wanting to sort of get into those cozy socks and sip on hot cacao. And maybe instead of doing hot chocolate or coffee or anything like that, you can invite cacao into your life, and she's going to really share how we do that. So I have a review that I want to read, and I'm going to read a little excerpt from her book because she gifted me her book when I ran into her super randomly, actually, in LA after we had recorded the podcast. So that was really cool. But I received this message from my Instagram DMs, and I wanted to read it because it just felt really good. So if you guys, want to reach out to me there and send me some love, I appreciate it. But of course, I always like when it's on iTunes, because iTunes is the queen of podcasting. So this is by Miss Butterfly Bones, and she says, "Hi, I've been listening to your podcast for years, and I don't know if you've ever read Gaia Codex by Sarah Drew. You should definitely read it and then have her on your podcast. Also, thank you so much for all that you do, because you've made a significant difference in many of my days." Thank you so much, Miss Butterfly Bones, over on Instagram. I really appreciate this message. And no, I have not read the book Gaia Codex, but it sounds like it's a definite must. So here's the good book recommendation from this lovely listener here. And I will definitely check this out. So thanks for sending that love over this way. So let's get into this book. So Christine Olivia actually wrote this book, and she is just honestly magical. Everything, the first page of this book is a young girl, and she's just sort of like whimsically sitting in this forest with feathers in her hair, and there's a great mother behind her with eagles and other birds like flying around in trees. So it feels like it's like a book about myself even. So I'm very excited. I actually had this book on my boat for a minute, and then I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to take this home. So I'm just going to read a first couple paragraphs so you can kind of get an idea of it's actually the first chapter, and just kind of listen to some of her writing. Okay, so chapter 1 in The Child of Magic, Loving Mother Earth. One morning, Lana was on the swing set, imagining she was a bird rising high into the sky. Like a mighty eagle, she soared gracefully through the clouds to touch the sun with her glittering wings. Expressing herself freely in fluid movement and fearless measure, Lana was thoroughly enjoying herself when she heard a familiar song. It was beckoning from the direction of the trees, and she was a good listener. She walked past the edge of the playground towards the music and lush greenery. Lana frolicked through the opening of the woods as it morphed into an enchanted forest, alive with multicolored trees and flowers that fluttered to the music. Vivid butterflies and birds flew, chirping along with sweet melody, and beautiful creatures like the fox and the deer were playful. Presence was felt through the spirit of a willow tree, singing to Lana, inviting her to reconnect with nature. Lana Livia was a child of magic, miraculous and extraordinary as ever a young spirit was, a being made of love and light, a sensitive soul closely connected to her truth. She loved being out in the open near trees or the ocean breeze, when in nature she felt loved and supported through her connection to Mother Earth. And when detached, Her dazzling imagination helped her cope with a big world that didn't believe in magic. A couple of dainty, rosy fairies flew above Lana's head as she danced toward the singing tree. They gifted her with a daisy flower crown, wholly welcoming her into the forest. They sang in her ear, "We are loved, we are related in the light. You are loved, you are the light. Swing this way, let us remind you of your ways. Sweet as the sun, magic child, we are one." Bright-eyed with amazing delight, she giggled and twirled around. "Thank you." Lana overflowed with so much joy and gratitude that the entire forest felt it was kindled with pleasure. The fairies kissed her cheeks lightly and then guided her to the tree that sang. "I adore you, dear one." The willow tree laughed with adoration as her branches stirred and the leaves gently wove around Lana affectionately. "You have a wondrous imagination, and I delight in your connection to your truth and magic." "Wow, thank you. All of this is very beautiful, but who are you?" asked Lana. "You know who I am. You simply forget. I am Mother Earth, Pachamama, Mama Gaia. Whatever you would like to call me in this moment, child. I am part of you, this forest, and always here, whether you see me or not." Lana faintly remembered her. She resonated with the words Pachamama and appreciated the whimsical way it made her feel when she said the name aloud. It is a truth that will soon be forgotten through your human experience. You are only thinking about it now because at this moment you are in the stages of forgetting. That is normal. But what is unique about you is that your imagination is unyielding. You are a powerful force with your light and will come back to me in due time. Lana beamed with this golden aura that expanded out into the forest as she hugged the willow's bark tightly. "Pachamama, I will try to remember this forever. I wish to hold onto my truth and be the light in the world for others. You are a child of magic. One day you will forget and then remember who you truly are. Thus you will shine with brilliant light, reminding others of their inner radiance," said Pachamama. "All in right timing." Wow, that was a little emotional, actually, just reading that. There's a few synchronicities in there that I wasn't quite expecting. I hope that really made you feel good, but interesting. Thank you, Christine Olivia, for sending this my way. I am so excited to dive in. For those of you guys that want to purchase her book, you can go over to IamChristineOlivia.com or check out the show notes and we'll put a link to her book so you can read more. I mean, this is like pretty much I feel like this is a book about me and I'm sure you guys feel the same way. So I'm just going to read the back here so you can kind of get some insight if that didn't give you enough of what the book is about. But Lana Olivia feels loved and supported through her connection to Mother Earth. And when detached, her dazzling imagination helps her cope with a big world that doesn't believe in magic. Lana is miraculously and extraordinary as ever a young spirit was. She loves being in nature. She loves magic, dancing, playing, and using her imagination. Lana's friends are a little atypical for most. Fairies, a fox, and a mermaid, to name a few. But this will all change in time. As her heart breaks and human experience seeps in and shatters Lana's magic, Mother Nature cries out to Lana to shake her from the fog of disenchantment. And in right timing, Lana listens. There is light at the end of the tunnel after all. She has always been made of magic. Wow, okay. Are you guys ready to meet Christina Olivia, the author of this amazing book? Let's dive in with her. Welcome to the show, Christina. Hello, Divine Goddesses. Welcome back to another lovely episode of I Am Goddess Collective podcast. I am sitting with a beautiful divine sister, Christine Olivia. She is here with us on the show today. Welcome, Christine.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, Christine is actually an author as well as cacao ceremonialist and muse. She recently published her first book titled A Child of Magic, a fiction based on her own magical journey of remembering and a reminder for us to tap into our inner child. She enjoys creating, expressing, and helping others through storytelling and cacao ceremonies. Christine's Guatemalan ancestors have connected her to the gentle plant, spirit, and medicine cacao. In ceremonial settings, she serves the sacred gift of the gods and guides her clients back to their heart with love. So I think it's pretty obvious why she's here. Here to bless us up with some cacao magic and love. And she's also agreed to give us a blessing before we begin, which we used to do a lot of that and we haven't in a while. So I'm excited for you to invite the cacao spirit into this podcast. So take it away, sister.
Oh, thank you. Yes. So I invite everyone to have a cup of cacao with us during this podcast and bring that cup up to their hearts, closing their eyes, bringing their awareness into the body, into the inner landscape, taking a deep inhale together and letting our exhale root us deep into the earth, connecting us to Mother Earth. Bowing our heads in reverence and in gratitude. We give thanks to Mother Earth. We give thanks to Source. We give thanks to the cacao spirit. And we welcome the cacao spirit into our bodies, into our hearts, by energetically saying yes. We are so, so grateful for this beautiful cacao, for this gentle plant medicine, this sacred gift. And we're so grateful to all that helped create this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. In gratitude we gather, in gratitude we drink together. Thank you. Salud.
Oh, thank you, Aho. I love your mug. She's got an owl mug. I'm obsessed with owls. They're such a beautiful spirit. Well, I hope you guys are feeling good after that. So Christine, I love to start the show out with this question, show off with this question. Are you currently working with any crystals and which ones and why?
Ooh, I have labradorite all over me. That's my favorite crystal. You can see it here on my ring as well. And I have a few stones all over the house. It's a magical stone, and it was the first stone that was ever called to me. I remember I was in Bali and I picked from an oracle deck. It was like with crystals, and it happened to be the labradorite, and it just was like so magical to me. And ever since then I've used it for everything.
What is
labradorite? Oh, and rose, yeah. Or what is it? Rose quartz?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is labradorite? What are the benefits and properties of labradorite?
So it's for like protection and just to call in your magic. And I'm all about just calling in the magic and remembering my magic anytime I glance at my ring or, just feel into it, just tapping into the magic. Yeah.
Yes, you definitely are bringing the magic for us today. Lovely. Well, tell us a little bit about your journey. I mean, you are a cacao facilitator, bringing ceremony to everybody's lives. And so how did you even get started with that?
Yeah. So, where did that start? Let's see. I was in Bali, actually. I was in Bali for yoga teacher training, and it happened to be shamanic yoga teacher training. And they introduced me to cacao from Guatemala, actually. And when that happened, I was just like, wait, what? Guatemalan cacao? Wait, I'm Guatemalan. Wait, those are where my ancestors are from. My father was from Guatemala. And so I was just instantly connected and drawn to the cacao spirit and connected back to my ancestors. And it was profound for me because in life, I had never been able to connect with my father or my ancestors from his side because he had died when I was about 22 and he took his
Wow.
life. And so, yeah, I felt like I had lost that chance, right? I thought I would never get to have him in my life or to be a part of him. And I felt, it really saddened me. And I actually didn't know how to grieve it for a really long time, but that brought me back to him and to myself. And I was like, I get to know him through this plant.
Wow. That's beautiful. So it's very ancestral then. It kind of comes through a lineage of your family bloodline.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Aztecs and the Mayans, they've been using it for thousands of years for ceremony purposes, for medicinal purposes. So I finally got to harness, the gift of my ancestors and bring it to everyone in my community and the world. I want everyone to have it.
Yeah. Well, to my understanding, there's cacao, and then there's also ceremonial grade cacao. So can you kind of enlighten us on what the difference is, and also just like what the benefits of cacao are for those that don't really know?
Yes. So ceremonial grade cacao is harvested and produced by the indigenous tribes, the Mayan tribes in Guatemala. And it's made with the intention and with the thoughtfulness and with the love for healing purposes, right? And so it is fermented, and it's in its purest form. It's fermented. It's lightly toasted. The husks are hand peeled off, and then it's stone grinded into a block paste form. So it is pure cacao with nothing else in it and lightly processed. And so you're retaining all of the health benefits, all the living enzymes, all the healthy fats, all of that. And so the healing properties within there that you have anandamide, which is the bliss molecule. You have theobromine, which is energizing. All of these properties, you have iron, you have vitamins, nutrients, a lot of magnesium that helps relax your muscles. And then it helps with your serotonin and your dopamine levels as well. So it is just pure medicine. So of course it's going to make you feel really good on a physical level, but on a deeper level, it is a gentle plant medicine, yet a profound heart opener. So you will literally, if you take the time to sit with it, you'll literally get to feel into your heart, and your heart will feel like it's budding open like a flower.
Oh, that's so beautiful. What was your first ceremony like?
Ooh, my first ceremony was incredible. It was in Bali, and it was around a fire actually. And it was actually, they're close friends of mine now, but Eli and Asiera, they had cacao ceremonies in Bali, and they would sing and play the guitar around a fire, and we would drink cacao together, and it was incredible. But I remember being like, whoa, this is pretty intense. And then after that was just like obsessed with it. So there was two there. Okay. That was like actually the second one. The first one was during the yoga teacher training, but this is like back to back. So it's hard to say. Yeah. But the first one was during yoga teacher training. And actually she had had us go through a journey with the cacao. So drumming, we're sitting there, and it was incredible too. So two really profound experiences back to back.
Can you give us like a little visual on what a ceremony actually consists of for those that have never really understood? Like, or even I know some people that are like, ceremonies seem way too woo-woo for me, and I feel uncomfortable, or that's weird. But I'm pretty sure everybody listening here is all on board. But maybe for some newcomers in this spiritual world, what does a ceremonial cacao look like? What does it even entail?
So simply what a ceremony is, right, is a sacred space. So a cacao ceremony is a sacred space in which we harness the gift of the gods, the food of the gods, the cacao, right? And it's ceremonial grade cacao in which you use. And so it's a safe container where we get to feel deeply. We get to connect with ourselves, with our hearts and our soul, our bodies, right? Connect with the community that is there, connect with Mother Earth, connect with the deeper world around us, just like open up and listen to ourselves as well. So there's just all these beautiful things happening. And this possibility of transformation that can happen, and a lot of release can also happen. So sometimes you'll feel a little bit silly and giggly with the help of the cacao, or you may feel tears, and that helps with release, right? We can cleanse through tears. Or maybe you'll want to move, and that helps with release as well, when we can get out of that stagnant energy and just shake or dance. I really love to include dance. That's one of my favorite things to include with the cacao.
So when you say there's like this opening sensation where your heart is like blossoming open like a flower, do you feel like that's heightened as an empath or sensitive being, or is that something that generally anyone can feel?
So it's definitely up to the person how open they're ready to feel, right? So if you were to drink ceremonial cacao and just go about your day, you might not feel anything at all, by the way. But if you sit with it, you're going to feel something. So you might just even feel tingles. Your body's just opening up, right? The iron is helping you to have oxygenation occur. And along with the cayenne that I always spice it with, that helps as well. It's a synergist. So that's going to open you up and allow you to feel more deeply. And then for an empath, someone who feels really deeply already, yeah, you're probably going to feel it more intensely, for sure.
Yeah, I've always wondered that, because I think, when I began my journey, it was like everybody's telling me how this crystal feels a certain way. Oh, I can feel its energy. And at first I was like, that's weird. How can they feel a rock? But as the journey unfolds and we go down the rabbit hole deeper within, I think that is always something that's really beautiful to, when we like peel these layers of walls up, and become more connected to something. And it sounds like cacao is like something that allows you to pause, allows you to go within. So yes. I can understand why I think it's really taken off so much, especially in LA. We're both in LA actually, and I've seen so many ceremonial cacao ceremonies. And they definitely, why do you think that it's sort of come back into the, I wouldn't say maybe mainstream, but just that it's resurfacing in our world and our culture today?
I mean, it makes so much sense, right? It originated, the plant is from Mesoamerica. We're super close to Mexico, Guatemala, all these places. And so it's supposed to be on this land anyway, and supposed to be used, I feel, by the people. And then also, I mean, the paradigm is shifting now. So I feel like all of these things are coming to light. We're going to learn so much more about ourselves through this gift, through the crystals, through all these different modalities, right?
Yeah, definitely. What are some of your favorite, like for those that might be just wanting to purchase their own cacao, do you have any references or resources on where they can get some?
Yeah, for sure. I use the cacao from Guatemala, like I mentioned. I use Keith's cacao, though. So Keith is from Guatemala, and he's considered the cacao shaman there. And he has the most powerful cacao I've ever had. And I've tried many different types of cacao from all over the world. And there are some beautiful ceremonial grade cacaos all over. So what calls to you? But Keith's cacao for sure is my favorite blend. Yeah.
That's amazing. I definitely really relate to cacao being something that like opens up the heart and purifies and really feels like, it helps navigate through any emotionally intense experiences. And, kind of researching a little bit about your work, you have some trauma it's some pretty intense trauma that you experienced. Are you okay to share some of that and sort of navigate how cacao has supported you in that?
Oh yeah, of course. Do you want to be specific of which ones? There's a lot.
Well, whatever you feel called to share.
Yeah. For me, what had helped me navigate, oh my gosh, my entire life, right? I mean, when it came into my life, I was transitioning, right? I was coming into my yoga practice, which was really helpful, but it definitely opened my heart and allowed me to like love myself. And that opened me up to find a partner who truly loved me. And that introduced me to my partner now, Mike Dargis, who's an incredible artist, human angel, walking angel. Oh my gosh. If it wasn't for that, I for sure wouldn't have been able to listen to the call, listen to him. I remember he was like, let's go to Germany. And I was able to listen to that, like, okay, let's do it. I had never been to Germany before. And we lived there for almost a year. And while I was there, I was able to use the medicine. So often I was holding ceremonies for our family and friends. And yeah, it was almost a daily practice for me. So it changed my life completely. I remember it allowed me to give up everything that I was using to help to numb myself, right? And a lot of us know how that is. We numb because we don't know how to feel deeply. We don't know how to grieve. We don't know how to hold the pain in the world and the sadness in the world, for empaths especially, right? And so got onto the cacao and I was able to stop. I'd stopped drinking completely. I stopped meat. I stopped caffeine.
Wow.
Just all of the things. Even when you think of, like, you know, scary movies or negative music, all of that was gone. You know, I was reading only like self-help books at that time, and I was writing. So it helped with my creativity and my focus. My whole life changed. Yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah.
What a heart-opening experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So for someone who's navigating, like our listeners out there that are navigating some challenging times, how can they begin to really work with this medicine, even at home?
Yes. So I highly recommend to purchase ceremonial grade cacao. And if you don't have that now and you're listening to this, use organic paste, or nibs if you have them, or beans, right? That's fine as well.
So not the powder?
Not the powder. So the powder's processed and kills off all the living enzymes, all of the healthy fats, all of the energetic properties. So no powder.
Wow, interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, it's very important to
Can you make the paste out of powder?
If you can get cacao butter, I guess, right? But then that's taking things out, putting it in. That makes no sense. You want to, I mean, if you have the powder, okay, go ahead and then buy butter and then use it like that. But so let's say you have some nibs at home though, or you have some paste, or you find some cacao paste at a Whole Foods or something, or Air One, or you have beans. Set the intention with that cacao that you do have. Set this space, create that safe space, that beautiful sacred space, and sage yourself, sage the cacao, sage your space, burn Palo Santo, play beautiful healing music. You can DM me if you need a playlist. I need to add that to my link tree because I have incredible healing music that everybody always wants when they come to my ceremonies.
Oh yes, I love music. We love music.
I'll send it to you.
Please do. Maybe we'll include it on the show notes linked for you guys.
Yeah, I should do that. Yeah, absolutely. And then set your intention with it and say your prayers and welcome the cacao spirit in, and do this first thing in the morning. And if you're listening to this, do this right now, right? But try to do this in the morning, and just so that it sets the space and sets the pace for the entire day, and see how you feel. But give yourself at least 10 minutes to really get in touch with yourself, get in touch with your heart, and really connect. And also bring in a journal. Ask your heart, what is on your heart, and get it out. Like, we need to get that all out. So that's what I recommend.
It's simple too. It's like something that is so doable. And I fully believe in rituals. I believe, obviously, here on this podcast, we love rituals and we love ceremonies. And I think ritual for me really ultimately brings me back home. What do you feel like rituals provide for you? And do you have any like special ones that you want to share with us?
Absolutely. I mean, that's my daily ritual is in the morning. I sit with, if it's not cacao, then it is either a turmeric latte. I don't drink any other caffeines, but like a turmeric latte or a herbal tea or something. But it's a daily ritual to just tap in. And I love to burn sage and just think of cleansing the space from whatever from the day before, from being out in the traffic in LA, right? It's like we're cleansing the space, or maybe we had a funny dream, whatever. The point is to cleanse our space and become that clear conduit, that clear channel, so that I can connect with my true self, my heart, the earth, and source, and walk in my day in that space. Like I've created that, that's my daily morning ritual for sure. And writing often. I love to write. So
yeah, I think, well, earlier you also said that you got rid of drinking alcohol, caffeine, and you said, was it dairy or sugar?
Oh, I don't drink any dairy at all because I'm lactose intolerant and have been for a really long time. But yeah, I did stop sugar for a while, but
it was meat. It was meat that you said there. Yeah.
It was meat. Exactly. I go on and off of sugar, but try to do more natural sugar for sure.
So what was that like for you? Because I often get a lot of questions, for those who are interested in weaning off of coffee or wanting to lower their alcohol intake or even just stop and explore the sober life. What are some of those like maybe tips, or what was your experience going through that and what helped you with that?
So cacao is the easiest thing you can do.
She's like, cacao. It's all cacao.
It's literally that simple. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but it is that good that it can get you off of all of that. I actually just recently had a ceremony with a woman who was an alcoholic, and she felt a buzz from the cacao. She's like, this is how I feel with wine. So this was able for her. She was able to like wean off of the wine. So for me, it was pretty like an intense thing. I just stopped it, right? Because it was that powerful. Like if you're having a ceremonial dose, which by the way is 1 ounce or 2 tablespoons of the paste, it's intense. You're going to feel something energetically for sure. And it's so much fun. So like you can have it at night. If you're thinking of going out, have cacao instead. You will still have an amazing time because you're going to just be more open. So your sensations, you're going to be like, wow, this feels really, really great. Okay. You won't need it. So try that.
That's a really good idea. Because one of the things that I've often like real vulnerable talk here struggled with is I want to not have that glass of wine. But for me, it's usually I do because, and I'm aware of this from times where I've removed alcohol to see why I would want to drink it. And usually it's rooted in everybody else is doing it. Social. I want to feel comfortable. Just feeling maybe awkward or anxiety come up. And it's interesting because that was really my mom's story and why she drove to become an alcoholic. So I think that's a really beautiful way. And I'm excited actually to try that. So thank you for sharing. And maybe anyone else out there that also, might have that inclination that they'd like to try that, because ultimately it's like, I want to be able to connect with others, but sometimes it feels so uncomfortable because I do feel a lot. And I don't know why this conversation keeps coming up on the podcast, but it's like, well, we feel so much. So we go out and then want to create this wall or create this block, to be able to really connect deeper. So that's really cool. I like that idea. I'm going to have to let you know what my experience was high on cacao. I've sat with cacao, but not like with the intention of, that's the medicine that I'm looking to bring forth in that moment, like going out and having those heart open conversations. So yeah.
Ooh, I would love to recommend that if you do it at night too, because it is energetic. I love to do it in the day. Like I recommend doing it in the day, every day, in the morning or afternoon. If you do it at night, 100% it's cool. Just use a little bit less and maybe try even like ashwagandha with it. You can mix that adaptogen in there and then you can just feel like really relaxed and chill. Maybe even bring it with you like in a cool cup, and you might find someone who's really cool and wants to even connect with you and like, have that intention together. That could be really fun. I can imagine. I do that sometimes. I bring it out with me as well.
Do you have your own like special mug that you bring your cacao?
I do. I have like such a cute cup and I'll bring it to me with like to ecstatic dance or to festivals and stuff. Like it's always with me. So I'm like, always with it.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, thank you so much for that. I've already learned like so much from you just based on cacao. I originally thought so many other have had other perspectives of it and just how to use it and to how to prepare it and how to set the ceremony with it. And I think that it's also for me, I get really resistant to a lot of the things that are like trending in the spiritual communities. I'm always honest about this. So I feel like it's like to sit down and drop in with someone and hear like how they're utilizing it in a very intentional way is really powerful, which is why I love podcasting, because I get to hear you. Yeah. Well, tell me a little bit more about, you know, how you have worked through some of the trauma that you've experienced like in your life. You know, do you have, for anyone out there that's also going through like trauma or maybe I know without cacao, but just like your journey through it and what challenges you faced and what helped you really navigate it?
Want to start from the beginning?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, cool. So when my father passed when I was 22, that was a time where I was completely lost and turned to numbing like more intensely, right? Because I feel like we all start to numb when we're even younger with whatever it is, TV, food. But I turned to just being really social, like just trying to turn off my mind and my heart and all the feelings and just being really busy. So I would go out a lot and was just really lost and drinking lots of alcohol, at least every other day. There's a dinner party or something like that. And made the wrong choices with partners, especially. And I was in one of the most toxic relationships when suddenly this is like years after my father had passed, but I was in the most toxic relationship. I was living in Florida and suddenly I felt a call to go to yoga. And I feel like what opened me up was spiritual books. I had stumbled upon a couple, the first being The Red Tent, look it up, which was my father's book, which was one of the only books I kept from him. When he passed, he didn't give me much or didn't leave me much, but there were a couple books and that was one of them. And then
it's called The Red Tent by who?
The Red Tent. Oh, I don't know. This is so long ago that I don't remember who the author is, but you'll find it when you.
Okay. Yeah.
And we can put that in there on your website too. I'll look it up. And then there was another book, and there's so many other books. I mean, The Untethered Soul was one that changed my life for sure. And The New Earth, Eckhart Tolle, anything by him is amazing. But I think that's kind of what got me to listen to the call of like, I wanted to see what yoga is about. And I ended up going to a hot yoga class. And this hot yoga class was the first spiritual experience I had ever had. And it was during, you know how hot yoga is. It's super intense. And that really does actually open you up if you can sit through it. And that first one I sat through it, I finished it. I went like full on and I'm sitting in Shavasana and I'm able to like just tap in and feel something. I'm like, whoa, okay. I don't need to be fully numb, right? I can feel this. And it felt really, really good. And I got out of there asking everybody about it. And someone was telling me how they had just done a yoga teacher training and how incredible it was. And a few months later, I end that relationship and a couple more months go by. And then I manifested yoga teacher training in Bali, which was a dream come true. And that completely changed my life. And doing the yoga teacher training, when you're in yoga teacher training, you have to go on the yoga diet as well, right? So that already opened me up to no meat, no alcohol, no negative stimuli. And then I was introduced to cacao during that process as well. And then going back to LA after yoga teacher training, it was like, okay, now I have to go back to the real world. And how can I do that and still incorporate all this goodness and all this medicine? And I get back and I'm still a bit lost, and I don't have all the tools and everything, but I know what I want. And so I'm telling everybody about cacao. I'm just like, okay, guys, can you not see like cacao on every street? Like it could be amazing. It would change the world. And I'm just like, I have all these ideas. Then I meet my partner, my now partner, and he totally gets it and he loves the idea. But he can see that like LA is still not the best place for me. I still don't have community and the right friendships, but I do have him and that was a blessing, a complete blessing. And he's just like, you need to see the real world. You need to see what it's really like, and like connect with nature and be in a real comfortable situation, because LA is just crazy and can be really crazy.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of Kali energy in LA, like forces you to really face a lot of your shadow.
Exactly. So it was really intense. And when I went to Germany, I was able to just stop all of that and take time for myself, connect with myself, with my yoga every day, with my rituals, just creating a whole new me. I completely changed at that time. And I was there for a year. I was in nature every weekend. Oh, it was so beautiful to go to the countryside and just walk in nature. His sister, my partner's sister, has a horse. And so we would visit the horse every weekend. It was like magic. I've always wished to, play with a horse when I was little. So much fun. And, we were there for a year, and then we came back to LA. And when I came back to LA, it took me a really long time to do it. But then I finally found community. I found some beautiful brothers and sisters, and I'm a different person with different friends, different scene. LA can be very Kali energy, and there are some certain parts that can be really beautiful and healing and can really bring you together with beautiful people. So it's a wonderful.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a lot. Condensed version.
I used to do hot yoga, and for like 2 years, it was probably what initially opened me up in a lot of ways, like core power yoga, back in like 2000, maybe 11. And then I started getting really dizzy, and then I would almost faint. And I'm like, okay, maybe my body's telling me that this is no longer serving me. It's helped me to, because I'm like I'm a fire sign, so I'm a very intense person. What's your sign?
Aries, yes, fiery.
Oh yeah, I had a feeling. I'm like an Aries magnet. Everybody always listening. I'm like always attracting Aries. I'm a Sagittarius. So basically, with that fire, it's like we crave those stimulants, right? And it did that for me, and I love working out. But ultimately, I feel like with that, this is where like tuning into our bodies and being present is really important, because it sounds like your journey, like starting with yoga and going through that, it was like a gateway drug into something deeper, and to be able to connect with this medicine. So I actually have an interesting question. What is your perspective on other plant medicines like ayahuasca, iboga, kambo, all those things?
Ooh, yeah. So the thing with those, it's like they're really intense, and if they really call to you, and you're not just going to them because your friend did it or you heard someone did it and it's like a cool thing, right? No, like only if you're really called. It is really intense. And the thing is like for me, cacao is my favorite because it's so gentle. And I just really recommend really nurturing and gentle things right now at this time, just with like all of the intensity and what's going on in the world. I like to take a nurturing and gentle approach. But again, if you're really called to it, then I feel like that's cool for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. To me, it just doesn't call to me. So
yeah. Well, I think we're right on the same page with that one.
Yeah. And I'd love to add, like, it's interesting that you said that, because hot yoga is really intense, and it's not my favorite yoga anymore. Right. That was like exactly like you said, it was like a gateway drug to like all the good stuff, but it's not something I would recommend to do often at all. Actually. It's something I've only done a handful of times in my lifetime. Actually, it opened me up to loving really restorative hatha flow yoga. And that's actually what I like to include as well in ceremonies sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I think it's, there's so many women listening right now, I know, that are very powerful, driven women. And so I think that in that case, those things can be really intense. And I feel like I'm in my masculine most of the day, unless I'm able to tune into my podcast or something of that nature and sit with a sister like you. And it reminds me to tap into that flow. But the workouts that put me in my masculine, they serve a purpose. But it's like going back to the cacao's medicine, that serves a purpose to go back to this feminine essence, which is flow, heart, opening, connection, and inner child. And I know that you have a lot of connection and ability to reconnect and remember what the inner child is like, because you wrote a book called Child of Magic. So I really, before we have to close this off, I would love to kind of ask you, what's inside the book? What can someone, what is it just for children? Is it for adults? Like what's this book all about?
So it's for adults and it's for the inner child. And it is about remembering, Olivia, the main character, is a magical child that comes into this world like we all do, magical creatures. And then she forgets that through the human experience, through traumas like we all go through heartbreaks. And then she gets to come back into it and remember it. And remember her truth and her magic. And so it's just super fun in the beginning. You have a lot of mystical creatures like fairies and mermaids, and she talks to animals, and crystals are in there too. You're going to love her necklace, the description. And it's just super fun. And then she travels to Bali and Guatemala like someone else, like me.
Sounds a lot like your story.
Sounds a lot like my story, right? Yeah, and then she just gets to come back to remembering her magic, and it's just a beautiful story and really gets you in there and really heartfelt to hear a lot of tears come, but also just a lot of remembrance, and that's a beautiful thing. I'm super grateful that I had that gift. And by the way, I was channeled. I feel I have to give credit for sure to the cacao spirit, because I had the ritual every morning, and every time I sat with the book, with the story, I drank my cacao, my ceremonial cacao, Keith's cacao.
So it is for adults, or
yes,
I guess we could say we're big kids.
Yeah, and we all are, exactly.
Yeah. Well, yeah. What do you think for people out there that are like, no, magic isn't real? How would your book really support them in remembering their magic?
I would just say, please drink cacao before the ceremonial grade cacao before you read the book, so that you can remember. We forget, and that's all it is. It's a remembrance. You don't have to believe in magic to feel it. So at least try it.
What are some other ways that you connect to your inner child?
Oh, I love to put my hand on my heart, my right hand on my heart, and my left hand on my womb, and connect, and just to feel into what she's feeling. If I'm feeling nervous or sad or feeling overly excited, just connecting in with her and seeing how she's doing, and literally asking her, how is she feeling, and what can I do for her? What does she want in this moment? And sometimes she wants chocolate, like real chocolate, right? Like, yeah. Or some vegan ice cream, or she wants a hug, or she wants to cry, or whatever it is. But just checking in with her often is something I like to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I take any opportunity to tap in with my inner child. I will share a funny story that just happened recently. I fell, what the birds are? They're all around LA.
Yes. There's scooters. Yeah. I'm sure you guys have them out there. Yeah. They're kind of taking over the world right now.
Yeah. So be very careful. I fell on one recently.
Oh my gosh. I've literally said there's going to be like deaths on those things. They're so dangerous, even though they're fun. But yeah.
I was trying to go up a curb, and it was a very short curb, and my tire just went boop, boop, and went off of it, and I flew off.
Oh my God.
And I felt pretty bad. And I was right next to a school, and I took the opportunity to feel into like the sadness and the pain. My mom was actually visiting, driving by right at that time. And she's like, "Are you okay?"
What?
I felt like I was 11 again, 12 years old, whatever. And I just started bawling and crying. And it was just like, I feel like a child right now, and I need to be held. My partner was there and just was like, "Yes, please go ahead and cry, and just, it's okay, let it go." And I just was bawling and sobbing. Yeah, it totally shook me.
Wow. Well, I think we often forget that it's okay to like say we're not okay, or cry, or, go back to those feelings where, when we were kids, like tantrums, crying, screaming, we didn't care, and what a beautiful way to just stop, drop, and tap into, your inner child. Like ultimately, one of my favorite ways to go out is just like, if I find a swing, I this year, I'm actually obviously not at Burning Man, but the last 3 years I've been, and we have this rule where anytime we see a trampoline or a swing set or anything, we have to pull off over our bikes and go jump on the trampoline.
I love that.
And that was like the first thing one of my best friends introduced to me when my first time at the burn. So now I sort of applied that into my life. Like I was driving with my employee a couple weeks ago, and we were driving along Santa Monica Boulevard, and somewhere around there was a giant swing, like coming from the tops of these trees. And I literally was like, we have to pull over and swing. I'm the crazy boss that wants to
I love
do all that.
Yeah.
I'm like, but I can't not, like, now it's like engraved, and it's just so, I think, important to stop and not take our lives so seriously.
Yes.
You know, I think we're so caught up in this world is really intense. And, you know, what are some tips I feel like for those out there that aren't so comfortable with getting into their inner child yet, like, and they have a hard time navigating this world? What would you say to them?
Ooh, I have so many recommendations. Okay, first things first, listen to some Disney music. Okay, let's get into it. Like some really fun, the stuff that you loved when you were a kid, like a Pocahontas song or The Little Mermaid, whatever it is. Listen to this alone and sing along and dance. And guess what can help you with that? Cacao. Like something I like to do during ceremonies sometimes. I told you dance, of course, but sometimes listen to Disney music. And we love that. Like women, a lot of women love that. And I'm sure men would love that too. I haven't had a lot of them dance to Disney music, but I'm going to try that next. But that's like a really fun way. And yeah, any opportunity, like when you're out in nature, just like touch a tree, hug a tree, try to connect with nature and like get into that wondrous, you know, big-eyed child that you really are actually inside.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Big ad beauty. That's what you are. Thanks for bringing all your inner child magic to the show. I have a couple more questions before we wrap this up as we're coming to a close. So, A Child of Magic, this book, where can everybody check it out and purchase it?
So it's on Amazon. A Child of Magic by Christine Olivia Dargis. And you can also find me on Instagram, Christine Olivia _. And you can buy the book from my link tree in there in the bio. And my website is IamChristineOlivia.com. So you can find anything there as well. You can buy cacao there. You can get the book as well.
Okay, great. So we can just go to your website.
Yeah.
Get all the insight. Do you have any events coming up?
I do. I have a cacao ceremony September 13th at Unplug in West Hollywood. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I might have to join you for that.
Please.
That's awesome. All right, love. Well, last and final question before we wrap up the show today. How do you invoke your inner goddess?
By loving myself and accepting myself for all the different sides. I really am tapped into the inner child, but also into the sensual side, the divine feminine side, all of the different aspects within me, and embodying the divinity within.
That is beautiful. Aho, sister. Thank you. You are magic. Well, do you have any other last final words you'd love to say to all the ladies on the podcast?
I love you. Thank you for showing up and for being here. Thank you.
Well, sisters, I hope you've enjoyed this podcast and feel inspired to work with the medicine of the cacao and invite it into your heart, invite it into your presence and into your life. I love you. I see you. I hear you. Until next time. Bye for now. Well, now seems like a very perfect time to share with you guys my favorite app of all time called Yoga Wake Up. You know that I'm huge on morning rituals and getting your day started on the right side of the bed. So this is how I begin my day in Slay. I wake up to an amazing yoga practice or meditation, and it really creates and sets the tone of the rest of my day. So this is the app called Yoga Wake Up, and it is an app that replaces your annoying beeping alarm clock with, again, like I said, yoga and meditation. I literally cannot recommend this app enough. It is literally a game changer, and I've truly been able to transform my life by starting my day with mindfulness and intention. So head on over to bit.ly/goddess yoga wake up to get 25% off your entire year's worth of subscription. And again, that's bit.ly/goddess yoga wake up to receive 25% off a yearly subscription. Wake up and slay.